Is Putin destroying or protecting Ukraine? On the 24th of February 2022, Vladimir Putin unleashed the biggest war in Europe since World War II with the rationale that modern Western-leaning Ukraine was a persistent threat and Russia could not feel safe, develop, and exist. Thousands of people have since died. Communities and cities, such as Mariupol, lie in ruins and 13 million people have been evacuated. Nonetheless, the issues of why this happened and how it will end persist. What does Putin really want from Ukraine? There are two possible answers to this question. First is to keeping Ukraine close to Russia. Russia and Ukraine were the first two countries to sign a treaty that formally brought an end to the Soviet Union. A civilized divorce was a term that was used by certain people at the time to describe this event. On the other hand, Russia has never genuinely acknowledged Ukraine's independence, and since 1991, it has spent the majority of that period working to roll back or otherwise restrict Ukraine's sovereignty in a number of ways using a wide range of means. As more time passed, this problem became entangled in a much larger dispute between Russia and the West regarding the norms and the limits in post-Cold War Europe. This conflict is related to the norms and the boundaries that exist in Europe after the Cold War. In 2014, Russia took control of Crimea and supported a separatist movement in eastern Ukraine, both of which are still going on today. Russia is also responsible for the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. For the second time, Putin asserted that Russians and Ukrainians are the same people. He considers the Russians and Ukrainians to be brothers, with Russia deserving of leadership because it is the elder brother. However, the majority of Ukrainians would disagree. They are motivated by President Volodymyr Zelensky's speeches. He assured Putin that the Ukrainian people want peace but are ready to fight for their independence if necessary. Putin has launched a full-scale invasion with the intention of seizing control of the entire country. The Ukrainian people are currently engaged in combat against the Russian army in an effort to end what they see as an occupation. Second is to keep Ukraine away from the West and NATO. The primary objective of the Russian leader was to dominate Ukraine, oust its government, and put an end once and for all to Ukraine's aspirations of joining the Western Defensive Alliance NATO. After a month of unsuccessful attempts, he gave up on his plan to take control of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, and instead focused his attention on the east and south of the country. Before beginning the invasion on the 24th of February, he informed the Russian people that his objective was to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. His intention was stated to be to safeguard those who had been subjected to what he termed 8 years of persecution and genocide at the hands of the government of Ukraine. As quickly as possible, another purpose was added, which was to ensure the neutral position of Ukraine. Putin claims that NATO and the European Union are trying to pry Ukraine away from its authentic identity and alignment with Russia by manipulating Ukrainian national sentiment as part of their own geopolitical competition with Russia, using the old groundwork of the Polish-Austrian ideologists to create an anti-Moscow Russia in Ukraine. The authorities of post-Soviet Ukraine, Putin said in a speech delivered on February 21, had attempted to construct their sovereignty on the rejection of all that unites us with the help of foreign forces. The conflict between Russia and the West over Ukraine early this year was, at that time, Europe's biggest crisis since the end of the Cold War. Now, with Russia's shock invasion of Ukraine, there is potential for the war to spill over into a NATO member state. That would result in a conflict that spread over Europe, and quite probably a showdown between the two nuclear superpowers of the globe. The whole world is waiting and guessing about Putin's unpredictable next moves. The question now is whether he will invade Ukraine on a whole scale. Is he serious about destroying Europe's post-Cold War security arrangement or not? Many were caught off guard by his surprising decision to recognize the independence of two separatist republics in eastern Ukraine. But whatever his real intention for invading Ukrainian territory may be, the majority of people all over the world consider Russia as the largest bully that the nation of Ukraine is attempting to defeat today as part of their journey to achieve full independence. People's perceptions of not only the nations involved in the conflict, but also of the rest of the world as a whole have been fractured as a result of this war. Even in Russia, the general population was not given the opportunity to decide on whether or not their country should invade. In fact, there are many people rallying against it. Many Ukrainian and Russian households have members who speak both languages. As a consequence of this, a great number of people on both sides of the border do not wish to wage war against one another. The United States of America and a significant portion of Europe are supporting the Ukrainian people. They are of the opinion that Ukraine ought to have the right to choose its own course. Nobody really knows how Vladimir Putin is going to bring an end to the war he started. The reasons may become apparent to us based on what we see and hear, but the truth remains concealed from us. What exactly does Putin want from the Ukrainian government? Is it to protect it, maintain its long-standing legacy of brotherhood, or make use of it to broaden the scope and get ready for what's in store for Russia? Whatever it is not moving forward at all and has even gotten worse for his side, which is not good at all. Maybe this war isn't over yet, far from it. 'Cause from the looks of it, it is just getting started.